All right, welcome to part 8. To recap, in part 7, Ivan is working on some type of plan to get Ruby out of the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. We know it has something to do with his paintings. We don't exactly know what the plan is yet, though. So, part 8, here we go. Good news, huh? Bob says when Mac is out of earshot. Looks like you might be getting some more supplies. Yeah, but I don't want to paint for Mac, I say. I want to paint for Ruby. You can do both, Bob says. You're an artist, after all. While I watch the movie, I try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe, I think, if I fold them once they're dry, I can stuff them in a knot tag. It's a long movie, and at the end the sheriff marries the woman who owns the saloon, which is a watering hole but for humans, not horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a western that has also a romance. I like that movie, I say to Bob. Too many horses, not enough dogs, he comments. And then a commercial comes on. I don't understand commercials. They're not like westerns, where you know who the bad guy's supposed to be, and they're hardly ever romantic, unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth, or before they face lick. I watch a commercial for an underarm deodorant. How do you know who's who if you don't smell? I ask Bob. Humans reek, Bob replies. They don't notice it because they have incompetent noses. Another ad comes on. I see children and their parents buying tickets, just like the tickets Max sells. They laugh and join their ice cream cones as they walk down a path. They pause to watch two sleepy-eyed cats and a huge striped zebra dozing in the long grass. Tigers, I know, because I saw them on a nature show once. Words flash on the screen accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see a human family staring at another kind of family. A family of elephants. Old and young. They're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass and room to wander. It's a wild cage, a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends, the wall that says you are this and we are that. It's not a perfect place. Even just a few fleeting seconds on my TV screen I can see that, but a perfect place would not need walls. But it's the place I need, for Ruby. I gaze at the elephants, then I look over at Ruby, small and alone. Before the commercial ends, I try to remember every last detail. The rocks, the trees, the tails, the trunks. That's the picture that I need to paint. It's different now when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me, a banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head, things that don't exist, at least not yet. I pulled out knot tag stuffing. Carefully I fill her with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. Bob tries to settle on for a nap. You've killed her, he complains. Well, I had to, I say. I miss your stomach, Bob admits. It's so spacious. When Julie arrives, she notices that I have used my paints and paper. Wow, she says, shaking her head. You are one serious artist, Ivan. My finger painting is sold for $40, with a frame. Mac is pretty happy. He brings me a huge pile of papers and big buckets of paints. Get to work, he says. I paint for Mac during the day and Ruby at night, and I nap when I can. That's him painting. By nighttime, the picture isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. But when I place all the pieces on the floor, it just doesn't seem right. Something's missing. Bob says I'm crazy. There's Ruby, he says, pointing with his nose. There's the zoo. There are the other elephants. What's wrong with it? It needs one more thing, I say. Bob groans. Ugh, what could it be missing? I stare at the huge expanse of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain to Bob that it isn't quite done yet. I just have to wait, I say. Something will come to me, and then I'll know my painting is finally finished. During the last show of the day, Ruby seems tired. When she stumbles, Mac reaches for the claw stick. I tense, waiting for her to strike back. But Ruby doesn't even flinch. She just keeps plodding along, and after a while, Snickers jumps onto her back. I lie in my cage and with Bob on my stomach. We're watching Julia do her homework. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell because she's sighing more than usual. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe 1,000th, I wonder what my painting is missing. And for the 100th and maybe 1,000th time, I don't have an answer. Dad, Julia says as George passes with a mop, can I ask you a question? Sure, ask away, George says. Julia glances down. What's the difference between the word spelled Principal, principal, and the word spelled Principle, principal? Well, the first one is the head of a school. The second one is the belief that you know what's between right and wrong, he smiles. For example, it's against my principles to do my daughter's homework for her. Dad joke. Julia groans. If I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, do I need to know how to spell? With a laugh, George heads off. Poor Julia. I think gorillas are just fine without learning how to spell. All those endless letters, those sticks, those circles, those zigzags, filling up magazines and billboards and candy wrappers. Heh, words. Humans love their words. I leap up and Bob goes flying straight into my pool. A word, that's it. You know how I feel about wet feet, Bob yells as he scrambles out of the water. I look out my window at the billboard and I can still hear Mac's voice in my head. I count to 12 and then I count again, just to be sure. And he's looking at the sign outside and he's seeing which word he wants to use. I lay out 16 pieces of poster board. 4 down, 4 across. A perfect square. Where are you up to, Bob demands. I'm guessing it doesn't involve sleep. Nah, it has to do with the billboard. That sign's a monstrosity, particularly since I'm not featured. I grab a bucket of red paint. You're not on the billboard because you're not in the show, I point out. Well, technically I don't even live here, Bob says. I'm homeless by choice. I know. I'm just saying. I study the billboard. Then I make 2 fat lines like broom handles and another fat line that connects them. I stand back. What do you think? What is it? No, wait, let me guess, Bob says. Not a ladder, I say. A letter. At least I think it's a letter. I gotta make 3 more. Bob cuddles up next to Nahtag. Why, he asks, yawning. Because then I'm gonna have a word. A very important word. What word, Bob asks. Home. Bob closes his eyes. That's not so important, he says quietly. And there's his first letter of his word home he's going to put on his painting. All day long I knuckle walk circles around my cage. I'm so nervous that I can't nap. I can't even eat. Well, not that much at least. I'm ready to show Julia what I've made. It's got to be Julia. She's an artist. Surely she'll look truly at my painting. She won't notice the smudges and the tears. She won't care. She's going to see past all of that. Surely Julia will see what I've imagined, what I'm trying to say. I watch Ruby trudge sullenly through the 4 o'clock show and I wonder, what will happen if I fail? What if I can't make Julia understand? But of course I know the answer. Nothing will happen. Ruby will remain the main attraction at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, conveniently located off I-95 with shows at 2, 4, and 7, 365 days a year. Year after year after year. It's finally time for me to show my work. The mall is silent, except for Thelma the macaw going, uh-oh. Julia's finishing her homework. George is sweeping outside and Mac has gone home for the night. I grab Nahtag and carefully pull out all my folded papers. So many paintings, page after page after page, of my giant puzzle. I pound on my glass and Julia glances over. Fingers trembling, I hold up one of my paintings. It's brown and a green and a corner piece. Julia smiles. I display another picture, then another, each one a tiny part of the whole. But Julia looks confused. But what is it, she asks. It doesn't matter. It's just pretty to look at. No, I think. No, it does matter. Julia doesn't quite understand yet what he's trying to do there with the picture. George calls out to Julia. He's done for the night. Grab your backpack, he says, and hurry, it's getting late. Gotta go, Ivan, Julia says. But no, Julia, you have to stay and understand. I have to find the right pieces. I dig through the pile. They're here somewhere. I know they are. I find another one. Bob, help me. Hurry. Bob grabs paintings with his teeth and drags them to me. One by one, I shove the pictures through the window crack. They crumple and they tear. There are too many pieces. My puzzle's just too big. Careful, Ivan, Julia says. Those might be worth millions one day. You never know. She arranges the paintings to a neat stack. I suppose Mac's going to want to sell these at the gift shop. No, she doesn't understand. I shove more out through the hole. More. All of them, one after another. So, Ivan's been painting a bunch, has he? George says as he puts his coat on. Yeah, a lot, Julia says. A whole lot. You're not taking all those home with you, are you? I mean, no offense to Ivan, but they're just blobs. Well, they might not be blobs to Ivan, she says, taking a closer look. Let's leave those by the office, George suggests. Mac will want to try selling them. Although why would anyone pay $40 for a finger painting of a 2-year-old could do? I don't know why. I look at Ivan's work, Julia says. He puts his feelings into them. He puts his hair into them, George says. Julia waves goodbye. Night, Ivan. Night, Bob. I press my nose against the glass and watch her walk away. All my work, all my planning, wasted. I look at Ruby, sleeping soundly, and suddenly I know she'll never leave the Big Top Mall. She'll be here forever, just like Stella. I can't let Ruby be another one and only. Often when visitors come to see me, they beat their hands against their puny chests, pretending to be me. They pound away soundlessly as the wet wings of a new butterfly. The chest beating of a mad gorilla is not something you ever want to hear, not even if you're wearing earplugs, not even you're 3 miles away wearing earplugs. A real chest beating sends the whole jungle running, as if the sky is broken apart, as if men with guns are near. Thump. The sound, my sound, echoes through the mall. George and Julia spin around. Julia drops her backpack. George drops his keys. The pile of pictures go flying. Thump, thump, thump. I bounce off the walls. I screech, I bellow, and I beat and beat my chest. Bob hides under Nate, his paws over his ears. I'm angry, at last. I finally have someone to protect. Ruby. All right, into part 8. If you could close out, log into Schoology, go ahead and take the part 8 quiz. I will see you then for part 9.